In this special episode, I'm going to show you exactly how I'm using List Perfectly to generate thousands of dollars in extra sales here at the Galaxy. What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to kind of a special episode of the Galaxy CDs, Rocks, and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. If this is, by some chance, the first time you've stumbled on this channel, my name is Ryan, and I am a full-time reseller, part-time YouTuber, and podcaster working out of my home in the greater Cincinnati area. And this channel is all about the flip life. The normal shows generally have a lot of reselling news and some what sold and are a little more kind of oriented in that way. And it's very much a podcast type episode. But I wanted to do something a little different with this. I talk pretty regularly about how I use List Perfectly in my business. And I thought maybe I would just shoot a quick video to show you exactly how it is that I'm using it and talk a little bit about what the results are. For those of you who don't know what List Perfectly is, it is a cross-listing tool that allows you to move items from one platform to another with relative ease. If you've got a lot of listings, and I have got a lot of listings, I do on average about 100 to 150 new listings every week. Manually cross-posting all those, copying and pasting, cutting and pasting to multiple sites from my original eBay listings would just take entirely too much time. So I signed up for List Perfectly. Gosh, it's probably been almost 2 years ago now. And it is one of the best investments that I personally make every month. If you're not familiar, essentially it is a browser extension. It will work with either Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome browsers. And what it does is it pulls your information from whatever platform you happen to be listing on, and you can either pull it directly into List Perfectly and then work from there, or how I use it is to just immediately cross-post items from eBay over to, in my case, Mercari and Etsy. And I wanted to just show you how easy this process is. So let's look at the screen and I'll just walk you through kind of what I do. So this is essentially my eBay listings screen. And you will see if you're looking, and if you're listening to the podcast of this, it's probably better to hop over to the YouTube channel where you can actually see this, but I'll do my best to describe what it is I'm actually doing so that you've got at least some sense of what's going on. So I'm on my active listings page, and you will see here on the left-hand column, there's this little kind of green sign with green symbol with a couple of arrows, and it says next to it, start selecting. I am on the business plan, so I can do bulk uploads and bulk transfers. I don't have to do just one item at a time. So I can select multiple items and transfer them from eBay to these other platforms. I, generally speaking, do these in batches of 5. So my workflow basically is that I will do 5 listings. I do all my listings on mobile directly to eBay, and then I'll take a little break because the monotony of listing 25 or 30 items in a row is just a little more than I can take. So I'll usually do 5, and then I'll move over to the PC and I'll get into List Perfectly and I'll do those cross posts. So this is that process. What you will do is just click where it says start selecting and just click on the listings that you elect to cross post. In this case, again, I said I do 5, so we're going to do 5. When you've got your 5 selected, or however many you choose to do, and I will tell you that it is pretty apparent if you have an older PC that you want to do a smaller number at a time, because it requires quite a bit of resources. I've tried to do bigger numbers. I can probably do 10 or 15 at a time before the PC bogs down, but 5 to 10 is probably a safer number to not overtax your PC, at least in my case. I'm using kind of run-of-the-mill i5 desktop, so nothing real fancy. If you've got a real high-powered machine, you might be able to do more than that. But for me, 5 seems to be a good number. Hit stop, and it will go to this screen where it gives you an option. It shows you how many items you've selected, and then it gives you this list of marketplaces that you can transfer your items to. You, of course, have to be signed in at all of the various platforms in order for this to work. In my case, I cross-post everything that I list to Mercari. Mercari is their free listings, so there's no disadvantage to moving everything over there. So I literally transfer all of my listings from eBay to Mercari. Back in May, I started also selling on Etsy. I'm a little more selective over on Etsy because there is a 20-cent listing fee that you have to pay essentially every 4 months that the item does not sell. So I've kind of set myself up in a position where I will only move things over to Etsy that are worth, generally speaking, $12.99 plus shipping or more. So in order to do that, just select the two platforms or however many platforms you happen to be wanting to cross post to so that they're highlighted, and then click on copy. You will see that it starts to open up new tabs. This process can take a little bit of time, not hours, but moments, as you'll see. It will initially open it up as an eBay revise your listing, and then it will open the Mercari page. And you'll see that it gradually starts to fill in all of this information. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see across the top of the screen that it's adding additional tabs as it catches up with all of the other items that I've selected to cross post. Again, there was probably a message that popped up that said List Perfectly is downloading images. And again, this process just takes a little bit of time. You can see now that the images have popped up. Now the title has filled in. Now the description has filled in. And I can just go through and complete my listing on this page. So if I want to add hashtags, it's just from this point forward, it's the normal listing process that you would do in this case with Mercari. It does try to autofill the category. And a lot of times, and I think this is a Mercari issue, not a List Perfectly issue, it doesn't do that correctly. So there is still some manual process that you have to do to update this. This particular item, I believe, was a magazine. So you would want to update this to the correct category, select its condition, and you're ready to go. Same thing over at Etsy. It's loaded all of the pictures. It's loaded the title. It's loaded the description. It's loaded the price. On Etsy, it even brings over my SKU. So I only have a couple of things that I need to select on Etsy in order to complete this listing. And again, there's the next one from Mercari. It's still loading. The next one from Etsy is already in there and ready to go. The next one from Mercari, and so on. And it will take a few minutes potentially for all of these to fill in, but this is still a much, much faster process for me than cutting and pasting. In addition to the fact that once I've started this process, while they're loading, I can go back over to my photo booth and continue to do more listings on eBay while this finishes updating. So this is again, it's a fairly quick, fairly seamless process. It pulls over all the photos, pulls over your description, pulls over your title, and most of the other relevant information. The only caution I will give you with Mercari is that it drops whatever the change is on your listing. So if you had an item that you were trying to sell for $6.99, it pulls it over as just $6. Again, that's a Mercari issue, not a List Perfectly issue. So you'll want to make sure that you at least look at your pricing and make sure that it's correct. As I've talked about on numerous occasions, for my part, I add shipping onto the cost of the goods on Mercari. So I don't have to use their labels. I do ship on your own. So in a case like this, I would add $4 or $5 to the cost to account for the fact that I'm going to be paying for shipping. And that's it. You're ready to go. Your 5 are up, you get them listed, and you get on to the next thing. A pretty straightforward process. The beauty of it is that the business plan costs $49 a month, which may sound initially like a fairly substantial investment. I am generating on average about $1,500 a month in additional sales just on my normal business. My normal margins are net margins before I account for things like rent and overhead are roughly 60%. So $1,500 is generating about $900 in net profit, and my cost for the software is $49 a month. So by my calculations, I'm making about an extra $850 a month in actual profit through the use of this program. So I guess my advice to you would be, if you think that your business might benefit from an extra $600, $700, $800 a month potentially in profit or more, depending on how many listings you have and what your average selling price is. List Perfectly would definitely be a program to consider looking into. If I've convinced you in any way that this program might be something that you want to look at, I am, of course, an affiliate for List Perfectly. There is on the screen a code, and in the video description below, there is a link. If you use that link and use the code GALAXY, you can save 30% off of your first month of the service. It's a great opportunity to try it out and see how it works for you at a reduced price. And if it works as well for you as it has for me, you can continue on with the service at whatever the normal price is. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I use it every single day to cross list to these two platforms. There is so much more that this software can do that I don't even take advantage of that you may find useful. There are other sellers who have got much better videos out there that cover those kinds of topics, but for just directly cross-posting from whatever your primary platform is, which in my case was eBay, to other sites, it's almost nothing short of a miracle. I have been very pleased with it. And as I said, it's generated for me a significant amount of additional business. So hopefully you found that useful and helpful. Again, if you'd like to sign up, the link is in the show notes below, and the code to save 30% off of your first month is Galaxy. This video was not sponsored. List Perfectly didn't ask me to do this. They don't know anything about it. Other than that, I will tag them in it so that they're aware that I did it. But I wanted to do this video because I use the service and have benefited greatly from it. If you found this video or podcast helpful, if you're watching on YouTube, please do me a favor and smack that thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber or a follower of the podcast, please consider doing that as well. Again, go back if you missed any of that walkthrough and watch how easy it is to get busy cross-posting your items. One of the best ways to grow your business is to add additional platforms to your arsenal so that you can get your items more exposure. For me, List Perfectly has represented the easiest and fastest way to do that, and it has been a terrific program. And I cannot recommend it highly enough. So thank you as always for watching. I hope you found this to be useful and informative. And until next time, it's time to sell. You have been listening to the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you again next time.